Welcome to Voice of Reason with me, Caroline Munanie. Kenyans are not strangers to food insecurity. We know very well how millions of our people lack consistent access to enough food to live an active and healthy life. Most of us know very well what it feels to have no food to feed ourselves and our families. We feel the effect of food insecurity in our lives both directly and indirectly. This is an issue we must address and find solutions. But what exactly leads to food insecurity? For one, Kenya relies heavily on agriculture to sustain itself. But the sad reality is that a large percentage of the population has no access to farming land, either because they cannot afford it or because the land they have is not suitable for farming. Without access to suitable farming land, our country is no longer agriculturally productive, which means we cannot produce enough food for the entire population. Land grabbing is another problem that contributes to food insecurity. When influential individuals, groups or companies acquire large tracts of land illegally, they force families, groups and other communities into poverty or social instability because they cannot grow food to sustain themselves. Communities experiencing land grabbing will find themselves in conflicts, wars and violence that impact food production. Land disputes emerging from land grabbing leave farmers occupied in conflict, making them unable to grow food, leading to prolonged food shortages. Food insecurities also occur when large corporations do business with local food producers but fail to pay farmers enough, leading the farmers to produce less food in the next cycle. In areas where farmers are able to grow crops, they face another challenge when they cannot get their produce to the market because of poor infrastructure, including roads, storage facilities, and food processing equipment. Their harvest ends up rotting in the farms. When we put these conditions against an increasing population, we can see just how bad food insecurity can get. Millions starve, and those who can get some food do not get the nutrition they require to be productive. Moreover, climate change has greatly affected our agricultural systems. We can no longer grow the crops we need on the little farmland available. We have exhausted much of the arable land and encroached into forests, destroying the ecosystem, which results in floods and other natural disasters that destroy the harvest or destroy crops before they mature. But what can we do now to ensure we get a food-secure Kenya, a situation where food shortage is no longer an issue? I commend the government for cracking down even harder on land grabbers to ensure families, groups and communities get their land back. The government must continue its efforts to award title deeds to their rightful owners to ensure that farming communities can focus on growing crops without fear of having their land being taken away. The government must also increase its efforts to encourage those with no land and those with land unsuitable for farming to take up new, inexpensive and eco-friendly methods of farming to sustain themselves. We need our people to know that they can farm in smaller spaces using the resources they have. Additionally, the government must work on improving and adding to the current infrastructure to ensure that farmers get affordable storage and can get their produce to the market on time. Better infrastructure brings us one step closer to a food-secure country. It also falls on the government to set agreeable working terms for businesses that buy directly from farmers. The result should be an environment that benefits both farmers and the businesses to encourage the farmers to produce enough food in the next harvest. As a growing nation, we must learn to embrace alternative foods that will decrease the current pressure to grow the same foods which keep depleting natural resources. There are a lot of alternative, affordable, and nutritional foods that require less space to grow. We will not need to cut down trees to make room for more agriculture. Even with the measures we have discussed, we must also remember that we are responsible for conserving our environment, since it will allow us to improve our food security by keeping natural disasters away. If you are interested in joining the discussion on food security, comment below on steps you think we can take to improve food security in Kenya. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Voice of Reason with me, Caroline Munanie.